When it comes to sales, there's a lot of turnover in just about every industry, especially insurance-related sales careers. Selling final expense is not different, which to me is kind of stupid because final expense is the easiest product I have ever sold in my lifelong sales career. In this video, Why Agents Fail at Final Expense Sales, I'm going to uncover the top 5 reasons agents don't make it in our industry. Coming up after this. If we haven't met, I'm Douglas Massi, and right off the bat, I'm going to ask that you give this video a thumbs up so we know that you're watching, and if you're actually a final expense agent or just getting into the business, you definitely want to subscribe to our channel and then ring the little bell thing that's next to the subscribe button. That way, you're notified each time we put out one of our final expense sales training videos. So, one of the main reasons, if not the whole basis behind failure in itself, is the lack of commitment that people have when they enter a new industry. So, understand, in order for you to be successful at final expense sales, you'll need to make at least a 90-day commitment to working long, hard days every day just to get you through the learning curve and so that you start to see the real financial potential of working in our industry. In other words, it's going to take at least 2 to 3 months before you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Needless to say, 90% of the people in our country that think and behave like sheep will not see the value of working harder than the next person and will not put forth the type of work ethic that I'm talking about. So don't you be behaving like a sheep. Which brings us to the number 2 reason why final expense agents fail. But before we get into that, if you can manage to hang around until the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to get a copy of 2 things that our sales team uses in every sales presentation: the guarantees of whole life insurance and the medical questionnaire. The guarantees of whole life insurance is extremely important for you to use during your presentation. And all you need to do is laminate it and whip it out when it comes time to explain the difference between what we do, whole life insurance, compared to the other stuff like term life insurance that they're seeing advertised on TV all the time. You'll need the medical question page when it comes time to finding out about the client's health and figuring out what form of payment that they're going to be using. When it comes to work ethic, I have come to the conclusion that most people simply think that they should be able to work around 40 hours per week or less and make a survivable income, and that a survivable income is good enough, because all a good sheep cares about is survival. This type of thinking has never worked for me, and I can almost guarantee failure for pretty much anybody who thinks that they're going to be successful at selling final expense insurance on a part-time basis. And yes, as far as I'm concerned, working 40 hours per week is just part-time. Whoa, now hold on, guys. Before you turn away, just think about it. There are 168 hours in a week, and 40 hours is equal to less than 25% of that time. So ask yourself, how am I going to be successful at a new business if I'm only willing to put around 25% of my time into that new business? Final expense sales is not an easy way to make fast cash. However, it is one of the few industries where a talented person with a crazy strong work ethic can go out and make more money than they've ever made in their entire life and be super successful. My wife Mariana and I found final expense sales back in 2012 and spent months going back and forth, waffling before we truly committed to the industry, which didn't even happen until around the summer of 2013. Back in 2014, which was actually our first full calendar year, I wrote over $420,000 of annualized premium. Meanwhile, Mariana wrote another $100,000, and the only reason this was possible was because of our level of 1, commitment, and 2, we put just about every waking hour into selling final expense. And that brings us to the third reason why agents fail at final expense sales. And when it's all said and done, it usually comes down to final expense leads. I'm not just talking about quality, but just to be clear, the agents on our sales team have access to the exact same leads that I have been using for years. The leads that basically made me one of the highest producing final expense agents in the country. Interesting enough, I have never met an agent that actually failed because the agency that they were working with gave them bad leads. It's usually not about the quality, but more about consistency. We know that one of the main reasons agents fail is because they don't commit to A, working enough fresh leads, B, every single week, and C, over a long enough period of time. In other words, it comes back to what I was talking about earlier, committing to no less than 90 days of working fresh leads every single week. You see, agents always fail when they simply don't spend enough time working through the pain, cutting through the learning curve, and after just a few short weeks or even maybe a month or two, they cut bait and move on to the next thing. The agents that are successful in our industry are the ones that figure out a way to hang in there through the first year, working leads every single week so that by the time months 10, 11, and 12 actually come around, they start seeing their back-end pay come in, and that's usually when the lights come on and they end up saying, "Holy cow! I'm going to make more money than I've ever made in my entire life." So let's talk a little bit about training versus commission levels. The disconnect for absolute failure comes when you're trying to learn the business on your own through online training programs or with a manager, even worse, that isn't even local to you. Meanwhile, you're not only paying top dollar for leads, but your first year commission levels are around 60 to maybe 80%. This is the way things used to be in our industry, so it kind of sickens me to see these companies that are out there recruiting agents by selling them on basically what I consider to be an unreachable dream. Because, well, even if you're good and do make several sales each week, you're probably still going to fail because, well, your first year commission levels are just way too low. They promise that you can work your way to the top. But years later, you end up realizing that you're simply a hostage and will never get a fair commission level. If your commission levels are below 100%, that better be because you're working out of a local or captive insurance agency that is actually giving you face-to-face training on a daily basis. That's why agents on our sales team start with first-year commissions at 100% and even higher with some of the products, along with access to our final expense direct mail leads program, our Facebook leads program, and some of the highest quality final expense telemarket leads in the industry. You see, our sales team never has to work a B lead because at United Final Expense Services, we don't believe in reselling leads. I made my success working A leads every single week, and you should be able to do the same. And no, you don't have to be on our sales team to actually purchase leads through us. For a copy of the guarantees of whole life insurance, along with the medical questions page, just email me at doug@ufesonline.com. For more information on leads or being part of our sales team, email me at that same address. Remember to always put the needs of your clients first because when you do, everything else usually falls right into place. Now get out there and do something good for someone today. Happy hunting!